Hi everybody, my name is Sid and welcome back to my YouTube channel. First of all, this microphone is not connected to anything. It's really just here for the vibes.
Okay.
Today I have been revived in a sense. I think the last time I made a video was 9 months ago when the Oscars were happening. Oscars! How can I explain it? An award show created by white people and I sometimes hate it. Anyways, it's just been a whirlwind. Now, don't be fooled by the pink. We're not playing dolls. We're talking about Mean Girls today. I knew straight up that when the Mean Girls movie came out, it was going to be my Joker. In the year 2017, it was announced that Broadway was coming forward, linking arm in arms with the likes of Tina Fey to produce Mean Girls, the musical. Now, this was a very important time in my life because I had been a fan of Mean Girls. Who is it? You know, October 3rd is one day before my birthday, so I was this close to being an icon, but you know, you live and you learn. 2017 was also the year I had developed a fascination for theater. I had fully joined the theater department, thrown myself into the entire world. I was getting into musicals like Heathers, Legally Blonde, Be More Chill, Shrek the musical of all things, Dear Evan Hansen, of course, Waitress, Hamilton, duh. Just anything I could get my hands on that was like poppy, fun, all of that. I wasn't really into the golden age stuff. So needless to say, when Mean Girls the musical came out, I was the target audience. Not only was I part of the target audience, I was their target audience. I say that because Mean Girls is one of those things that has been around for as long as I've been a sentient being. It's one of the first pieces of media I like have a core memory about. You know those movies that you have watched when you were a kid, like Coraline, it scared you. Monster House scared you. For me, it was Mean Girls. I remember being like 7 or 8 years old. All I remember is Lindsay Lohan falling into a trash can, and also the scene where it's like they're in the cafeteria and they start like clawing at each other and fighting. Both of those scenes are seared into my memory as one of the things I remember being afraid of when I was little. Years later, when I was finally old enough to understand the movie, it has become a like centerpiece of media for me. It's become something that's really informed what I like about art and informed what I like about media in general. Back to the musical. When that was announced, I decided to throw my whole entire being into knowing every single thing about it. I followed that thing from initial casting to workshops to previews to it through its entire run on Broadway. When there was an understudy going in, I knew about it. When there was a cast change, I knew about it because I was following every single one of the OG cast on social media, and if there was somebody who was added to the cast, immediately they were being followed.
I'm lurking and I'm stalking when you least expect it.
Also around that time, so Playbill will do these things where like they'll give one of the actors in a musical or play a like vlog camera and they'll get to vlog their experience going through the show. And for Mean Girls, it was called Too Gruel for School, and I watched that every single time there was an upload. Like, I was there.
I'm lurking and I'm stalking.
Shout out if you remember Louderman Lingo.
We're gonna have a little special segment with you called Louderman Lingo. Can you tell us what we're gonna look forward to?
Yeah, so I'm working on my vocabulary because I wanna be smarter. So I bought this book over here. It's 500 words you should know, and we're just gonna do one word a week. And we're gonna have to use it in a sentence every day.
In a real life scenario.
Yeah.
It's how I like come to like the word akimbo, because I remember there was one episode where she was like, you hold your arms akimbo. Like she would always teach you words. Like she had a like dictionary or something. I don't know.
Honestly, like putting my like hands akimbo really is what helps me like, get into the show. Akimbo? Akimbo.
Yeah. Is that one of your words today?
Oh my god.
odd word with a specific meaning. Strictly speaking, only the arms can be akimbo. It's a position they are in when you stand with the hands on hips, elbows sticking out away from the body.
All that to say, Too Groove for School was my bread and butter. Like, I was there for it all, you guys. I was there for it all. This Mean Girls, the musical movie coming out now, I will be there the second it hits theaters, and I will be screaming and shouting from the rooftops. However, I am here today to share my thoughts on the new movie, prematurely I will say, to share my thoughts on the new movie as an OG stan of the musical. And while most of my thoughts will be positive because I personally love the Mean Girls musical, I do think I'll have a little teeny tiny bit of more negative things to say. And not even that they're negative in nature, there are a few things I'm a little upset by. Oh, it's time to be real. I'll be right back. I'm back. Honestly, you have to be real when it's time to be real. And that's law.
Yup.
I feel like the OG stans of the musical are getting pushed to the side. There's like this phenomenon recently about the fact that Hollywood is no longer telling people that movies that are coming out that are movie musicals are musicals. They're advertised like just regular movies. I don't really see what the big deal is. It might be harder, especially this day and age when we're getting so many remakes. People are like, oh, well, you know, why is The Color Purple a musical? Even though The Color Purple musical as an entity itself has existed for a pretty long time, The Color Purple musical would be new to people who didn't even know it existed, who are just expecting to go in to see The Color Purple. With Mean Girls the musical, it's kind of the same thing of like, you know, people expect to go in not knowing that Mean Girls was even a musical back in 2017. For the last 6 years that it has existed as a musical as well, and people don't know that. Okay, this is me editing. This is why I have a bonnet on. Basically, I'm just popping in because I want to clarify what I said in that last little bit about talking about The Color Purple and all that kind of junk. Basically what I was trying to say is that movie musicals coming out recently, like The Color Purple and Mean Girls, have created their own fan base over the years outside of the original source material, if that makes sense. When you start putting them at the forefront and you start bringing them into the mainstream media, you kind of have to do a balancing act between pleasing the people who love the musical for what it is and who are fans of the musical, and people who are just there because they have a relationship to the original source material and may not necessarily like musicals in general. So I hope that clears it up. Honestly, I feel like it clears it up. Like, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders after I gave that explanation because it felt so much clearer than the explanation I was trying to give earlier. So peace, love, all that. It also starts just the slightest bit of beef between people who are fans of the musical and people who are just there because they like the original source material. When I went to go see The Color Purple, the guy sitting next to me, he seemed to be like probably around my age, maybe a little younger. He was huffing and puffing anytime somebody started a song. Like, anytime somebody was like even sounded like they were about to utter a song, somebody like gave a little tap, somebody shuffled their toes, somebody shimmied their shoulders, he was ready to like fight. It's a hard thing that Hollywood is trying to pull off, and it's like, why make it? Why make the movie musical adaptation if people don't like musicals? Why make it in the first place? Why not just make a pro shot? It's frustrating to me as an OG consumer of the musical. I'm starting to fear that maybe I'm not the target audience. There have been some changes made for the sake of it being specifically a movie that anybody could enjoy and not just fans of the OG musical. There are a few things that I will miss And that's a little bit of what we'll talk about today as well. Casting. I, for one, am a big fan of the casting. First and foremost, of course, Renee Rapp. I have to say, I don't think, honestly, this movie would be happening without her.
Look at the material.
You should be going home
You
anyway.
can be the judge of it.
I am an active consumer to this day of the Jimmy Awards. If you're a theater kid, you know the Jimmy Awards are Super Bowl. It really is. I can't even lie to you. If you don't know, the Jimmy Awards, or also the National High School Musical Theater Awards, basically all of these kids from different high schools will do a musical and few of them will get nominated. In 2018, it just so happened that Renee Rapp was nominated for a Jimmy Award for the musical Big Fish.
Renee Rapp, Sandra Bloom, Big Fish.
She had her little medley. She said, I don't need a roof.
The hell?
Like, she was like hitting those runs. She was doing it all. At the end of the day, 2 performers will be chosen to get a scholarship. And Renee Rapp was one of those people. The other person her year was Andrew Barth Feldman. You might know him from No Hard Feelings, or if you're like me, you know him from the Jimmy Awards and Dear Evan Hansen and all that fun stuff. Pretty much like right after she won the Jimmy Awards, she went on to do Mean Girls on Broadway. She was the replacement for Taylor Louderman. And I, of course, didn't get to see it. Honestly, okay, let's be real. I never got to see Mean Girls the musical live.
Lurking.
Don't ask me how I saw Mean Girls musical, but I never saw it live. So Renee Rapp, I never got to see what she was like in the Broadway musical, so I don't really have an opinion on that. From what I've seen from the trailers and from what I know just about her in general, she's a great Regina. And I think she's able to bring a flavor to it. I think she brings like kind of like swag to it. I hate the word swag, but that's what I mean. It's like she has this like kind of cool girl energy versus like the popular girl who's untouchable. Like, you really want to be her friend. Next, we have Angourie Rice. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Angourie Rice.
The first time I remember seeing her was in like Spider-Man Homecoming and like the other Spider-Man movies, and I thought she was actually a lot older than she was. But turns out we're like around the same age, so that's cool. She was also in Black Mirror, Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too. I did not know Homegirl was Australian. When I saw her in the movie Senior Year, where she was playing the young Rebel Wilson, I literally was texting my friend and I was like, oh my god, her Australian accent is so bad. Like, this can't be real. And turns out it was just her normal accent. So to me, honestly, and sorry to all my Aussie viewers, none. Australian accents sometimes sound really fake to me. Like, they sound like just really fake. You're making that up, honey. There's no way. I don't think that Miss Rice is like of a musical theater background or anything like that. I'm excited to hear her take on the songs, but it looks like It Roars is missing. Stupid with Love looks like it's still there, and I See Stars. So clearly the girl can carry a tune. Obviously in the original movie, Katie is the main character. Lindsay Lohan is the main character. Everything's from her perspective. But it was a little weird when they switched it to musical format, because Katie's not just like in the background the whole time, like commenting on everything that's going on and all this junk. Every character, because it's a musical, kind of has a moment where they can slip out of their head and sing a song. In a musical, it's a little different because you can't just have one character narrate for everybody. Obviously, you could make that choice, but they decided not to. So I think what ended up happening is Katie kind of became like a little bit of like a, not a background character, but she kind of was ripped from the forefront because she doesn't really have any like showstoppers, you know? Regina's obviously gonna have that like I'd say Someone Gets Hurt is a pretty big showstopper. Obviously World Burn brings the house down every time, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, it's gonna bring the house down. It's not surprising to me that like a lot of Katie's songs aren't, being marketed, that she's not really like what people are going to see this movie for, because it was never like that in the musical. Karen and Gretchen are being played by Avantika Vandanapu and BB Wood. Actually really excited to see what they do with these characters. I know that I've seen Avantika in Senior Year, so that's cool because she's got a kind of tie. And then BB Wood, it says she was in Love, Victor, which I think is really nice. They have some pretty big shoes to fill, because I think, so Kate Rockwell played the original Karen in the Broadway musical, and Ashley Park played the original Gretchen. And they kind of were show stealers, especially Karen, in my opinion. Of course, in the OG movie, like, they do their thing. Like, this movie would not be iconic if every character was not absolutely giving. But especially in the musical, they kind of get to have their moment. And their songs are so fun and so unique and just so high energy. And yeah, so I'm excited to see what they do with those roles. Janice and Damien. Now, this is where I kind of get on my, like, somebody kill me soapbox. Yup! Lily obviously is our Moana queen. She also was really good in Crush when I watched it, and I need to watch Darby and the Dead. Jaquel originated oh my god, my eczema's flaring up. What the hell? Originated the role of Usher in A Strange Loop on Broadway, which I saw in London. It was so amazing, so there's no doubt in my mind that he absolutely ate down in the Broadway musical. But and here's where my problem comes. Where do you belong? Stop. Have both been scratched from the movie, allegedly, from what I'm seeing. I don't appreciate that. When you cast someone as talented as this, why wouldn't you do everything in your power to give them a song? Hello? And I get it, like, you have to cut some things for time, you have to cut some things for interest, what's moving the plot along, what's not moving the plot along. In my opinion, you could have at least kept Where Do You Belong. I could have done without Stop, but I really think Where Do You Belong should have been kept. But yeah, I'm excited to see them, especially as a duo. I think Janice and Damien are such an iconic duo, and they're two people who are perfect to pull these roles off. And again, kind of like how it relates to Renee Rapp, I think they bring a different flavor from the original movie, and you'll get something you didn't expect, and will just bring a whole new spin on it that'll make it just its own beast. And I'm super excited, but I'm also really disappointed that we're not going to hear Jaquel absolutely blow the house down. It honestly makes me really sad. Literally won a Drama Desk Award and earned a Tony nomination for playing Usher in A Strange Loop. Why isn't he singing more? But, you know, you can only do so much. Maybe we'll get surprised by it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's in there, but whatever. Moving on. Aaron Samuels is being played by Christopher Briney from The Summer I Turned Pretty. He will not be singing. I think this is a fine choice. Aaron Samuels is hardly the main character in this movie. He's hardly the main character in the musical as well, so it's like, what are we really losing? It was kind of funny because it reminded me a lot of the whole Cameron Dallas debacle.
I would prefer the girl you were.
Now, back in, like, I want to say it was 2019. It was 2019 or early 2020, before the musical fell under the sink of the pandemic. What had happened was they cast Cameron Dallas. I think he was there for 6 weeks. And it's a thing that Broadway does a lot, where they, like, cast people for a minimum run in, like, a musical or something like that, just as, like, a star role to get in ticket sales. Why they chose Cameron Dallas is beyond me. He hadn't really been in the public eye for a while. So to me, that was just really, really surprising and shocking. Popping in again with a little bit of a insight, some more insight. I was watching like kind of cast interviews, behind the scenes things yesterday, And Tina Fey said that when she was casting Christopher Briney in the movie, she had like done some surveys with like teenage girls, I guess, and was like, who would you want to see as Aaron Samuels? Like, who would be your Aaron Samuels? Maybe perhaps a similar thing happened back in 2020 when they were going to like, you know, put somebody else in to play Aaron for a little bit. Maybe they were like, oh, who's like the big, like, who would you think of playing Aaron Samuels in a new Mean Girls? In the article that I like kind of like blooped up on the screen, it says that chasing Cameron's star, Cameron Dallas. So at the time he was relevant for that. He was kind of in his prime, and I guess like to most teenage girls in America that would make the most sense. But was it worth it? Did you get the car? Did you get the house? Did you get the guy? Again, with like most teenage girls in America not being necessarily fans of Broadway, I doubt it was phrased in a way of like, who would you want to see in the Broadway musical of Mean Girls? It was probably like, who would you want to see in Mean Girls? Because I guarantee they would have said somebody who could sing if it was posed as a question about who was going to be Aaron Samuels on Broadway. He played Cameron the same time that Renee Rapp was playing Regina George, and there's a song called Someone Gets Hurt, and at the end there's supposed to be a whole little like music thing between Regina and Aaron. However, because Cameron Dallas cannot sing, they cut it and just had Regina George like kind of do her own thing, which okay, so I guess that's what we're gonna see in the movie as well. Then there's a song called More Is Better. Katie is kind of having like her little drunken breakdown at her party with Aaron in the room, and he's like, you're not cool like you used to be. Oh, you were lying about math? Like, you're just like all the other girls. Like, you're not like my little Africa queen like you said you were. They do a little like singing back and forth, and there was a audio recording. Somebody had recorded audio of Cameron Dallas singing it on Broadway, and you can hear snickering, you can hear laughing, because that man did not hit a single note right, I fear.
I would prefer the girl you were. You're trying to me. You think this works with me? Well, you thought wrong. It's more is always better. You should have thought it more.
Just really bad. They're not gonna waste time trying to teach Chris Briney how to sing. He is just as capable of acting through the entire thing. So I'm not mad at the choice, but I do think it's kind of funny given the Cameron Dallas episode we had. Also, real quick, I just had this like crazy, like funny little thought. From watching Too Gruel for School, we know that whoever's playing Aaron and whoever's playing Damien share a dressing room. And I just want to know what that was like for Gray Henson. Like, I wonder if the whole cast had to sign an NDA, because I haven't heard anyone talk about it publicly, like say what their thoughts were. Like, what did they think of this guy coming in here and just like getting to make his Broadway debut? That doesn't make any sense to me, but God, what a moment. So, the music. They obviously cut a good amount of songs, and they're adding a new song with Megan Thee Stallion, which is exciting because I'm always here for a Megan Thee Stallion collab with my fave artist. I'm always here down for a Megan Thee Stallion song just by herself. I'm a Megan Thee Stallion stan. I'm not saying I'm not.
How many people were scared? Me too. I was really scared.
I'm just saying, you cut some of my favorite songs. So the first song that's missing is It Roars and the It Roars Reprise. The It Roars Reprise is not on the original Broadway cast album, but it is in the musical, and I really like it. I think it sets the tone for Katie, and I think that is a showstopper for her. I think that is a showstopper for her character. I don't think people necessarily get up and be like, yeah, but I think like that's where she gets to show her vocal prowess. I will miss it personally as an OG stan. We kind of talked about this already, but Where Do You Belong? I'm gonna miss it because I think an iconic part, and we all know this, an iconic part of the original movie is when they're sitting down and they're going through all the people and they're like, these are the black hotties, those are the band geeks, those are the girls who hid their feelings, and they're going through it. I don't know how it's written for this movie, but I do know in the musical, when Damien was allowed to sing Where Do You Belong, we got so much of his personality, and we learned a lot about the world in a new, fun way. I will feel it missing, and I'll be upset about it. And I am upset about it right now. The Stupid with Love reprise is missing. I honestly couldn't sing it to you right now. Again, I don't think it's on the original Broadway cast album, but it was in the musical, so I'm not gonna miss it. And I'm glad they kept Stupid with Love. Fearless. Fearless comes at the point in the movie where Regina George is usurped. This is why I say I don't think I'm the target audience like I thought I was, because it's like, I would sit through Fearless, but would a normal run-of-the-mill person sit through Fearless? I don't think so. It seems to me so far, like going through this list, they've cut a lot of songs that are like traditional musical, which also goes into Stop, which was cut. In the original musical, Stop is a whole tap number. Like, they do a tap number inside of it. There's a whole like song and dance. The same thing with Fearless. And they probably cut songs just for the sole reason that they sound like musical songs, which, you know, sometimes you have to do what you have to do in order to do business. But I think it does a disservice to the people who were fans of the musical originally, because I know for me personally, there have been shows like Be More Chill and Heathers where you have an audience who can't necessarily go and pay for this musical themselves, so they rely on things like bootlegs and, you know, listening to the cast album over and over and like getting word just from like watching things. And when you have a movie musical come out, you expect it to be kind of the same experience. And this is why I made a video a while ago about the Dear Evan Hansen movie, about how I probably would have just preferred a pro shot as opposed to the movie. At the end of the day, that's not necessarily good business decisions for people who don't like musicals. Yeah, it's like, I'm the type of person who would sit through every single song that was on the original Broadway cast album for the sake of seeing what I fell in love with in the first place, versus, you know, what they're really trying to do, which is like make another movie for a new generation of people who might not necessarily like musicals. So moving on, What Is Wrong With Me reprise is cut. Fine with that. Honestly, okay, might be controversial, might be a hot take. Oof. The universe was like, shut up. What Is Wrong With Me could have been cut from the musical in general. Just in general. Yup! But it is like one of Gretchen's like main songs, like pretty much her only song. I never really liked it. I don't think that song necessarily does anything for her. Whose House Is This was cut. I'm taking a moment of silence. I like Whose House Is This? I think it's so fun. Again, it's one of those scenes that's like very dancey. To me, like, it's a bop. I do this when I listen to Whose House Is This?
Something about that song that just make you want to get up and bust a motherfucking move.
More Is Better is cut. We talked about this before. You know, one of those things. I honestly don't think we need it. I think it's a cute scene in the musical. Don't get me wrong. I really do. But for the sake of the movie, if I was making the decision, I don't think we really need it. Do This Thing is also cut. Do This Thing is Miss Norbury and Katie mostly. It's also Kevin G. And it's the point in the plot where she joins the mathletes and she realizes, you know, the limit does not exist. I don't think I'll miss it, but again, I would have sat through it. I know y'all about sick of me. I really need to learn to like dot my I's and cross my T's when I'm making videos. I did miss one song, and that's the Someone Gets Hurt reprise, which not only will I miss, but I would argue was a cultural phenomenon. Do you remember that period of time on TikTok where like just random songs were trending from musicals? There was that one from Beetlejuice where it was like, I was hot, I went to parties a lot. That one, the Heathers one, are the dump truck in the flesh, here comes the cootie squad. Well, for a short period of time, the Someone Gets Hurt reprise was picking up steam. Buddy, it's not pretend. You are as plastic as they come. I hate Regina's guts, but here's what you don't comprehend. At least she has the guts to not pretend to be my friend. It's fine. Like, I'm sorry, Barrett Wilbert Weed ate down on that, and I feel like it's a disservice to the government, honestly, if we get rid of that song. So I'm highly disappointed it isn't there, and I'm also highly disappointed that I missed talking about it in the video, so I'm popping in now to say that. So yeah, those are all the songs that I think were cut. I get all my like tea info from Broadway for me on Instagram, and I haven't really checked it in a while. I'm not on Instagram like that, so I might be wrong, I might be stupid, who knows. Finally, the final thing. A day ago, I came across the final trailer for the Mean Girls movie, and so I'm actually gonna react to it right here on camera. Who's excited? I'm excited. Don't get too excited. I don't want to get sued by Mama Faye, so basically what's gonna happen is I'm watching the video. You can hear a few things going on. I add some images and clips, but for the most part, there is no footage, so you don't really know what I'm watching. I suggest you go watch the final trailer yourself on whatever device, you know, you're watching this on, and then come back and my reactions will make sense. I've seen like most all of the trailers. Again, like I'm getting constant videos on Instagram and things like that, so I'm there. I've gone to the movies and seen it like in movie theaters, like the trailer's playing, and I've gotten so excited. Actually, fun fact, one of my BFFs, a person I look up to a lot, who went to my college before me and is a huge role model, her name is Mo. She is in this movie. She's Bubblegum Girl. She's the one who like pops her gum in one of the trailers. So you could say like I am a part of this movie in some way.
Okay.
Anyways, let's get into the trailer, the final trailer. This one's called Revenge Party. And I was really excited when I even looked at this one because right off the bat, she's like giving. She's got her side part going, like, so let's get into this.
May I have everyone's attention, please?
I thought there was gonna be an ad or something. Let me go full screen. First of all, this like first freeze frame, this little freeze frame right here, the hand in the cast. I always thought in the original movie that he like broke his hand actually, and then like they made something up to like talk about it, but maybe he didn't. I don't know. Let's go. Ooh, okay. I don't know why I got so excited. First of all, where I just stopped it just now, yeah, lighting is eating down. That's one of the things I liked about the musical as well. The lighting and the set were so perfect, and they had these giant projectors, which I think they're doing a good job of bringing the visual elements to this production as well. To this movie, so I'm excited. That was Mo! Look! Oh my god! There she is. Everybody bow down to Morgan Mackenzie. If you don't know her, you will know her. So get into it. The microphone is backwards at this point. Hello. So it looks like they're keeping a lot of the jokes. There were jokes made specifically for the musical that I really liked. More like Gen Z.
Girls are made deranged by what's called hormones. WHO.
Dance break.
That was different. She doesn't say dance break in like the musical, so that's fun. Guys, this is gonna be fun. Maybe I won't even miss the songs I was talking about.
Why is it so tight?
Did they? Let's watch that back. And I know that happens in the original movie, but the fact that she fell forward is killing me. Oh, this is the Megan Thee Stallion song I'm hearing in the background. What did she say? Run that back. It's funny how the Mean Girls open all the doors. I've been told y'all. I need to learn it. You know how people were like, when Nicki Minaj's Pink Friday 2 came out, people were like, like don't need the lyrics like it was their job. I need to do that with this song that's coming out with Megan Thee Stallion, because I will be in the theater screaming it. Okay, it looks like the soundtrack will be available January 12th, featuring the new single Not My Fault with Renee Rapp and Megan Thee Stallion. Guys, I am so hyped for this.
How many people were scared?
Who's that? Shane's here. Did she just react to the Mean Girls thing? I did. Ow! You're hurting me. This isn't even plugged in, so you're an idiot. Shut up. Get off me. Anyway, I think this is gonna be a really good movie, and I'm excited, but I don't necessarily think this is a movie for the people who just are interested in the musical itself. At the end of the day, I will be there. Like, I am an OG stan. Like, I'll be in the theater as soon as it comes out. I'll probably be front row. I'll probably be crying. I'll probably be screaming. I'll be wearing pink for sure. Like, it'll be a whole thing.
And this is pink.
It's all pink. Like, I made sure I have my pink background, my pink things on. Everything's pink, pink, pink. Anyways, that got me really hyped for it. I think it's going to be a great movie. I think it'll be really exciting. And compared to its predecessors, and by predecessors I mean other movie musicals that have tried to come out, which, now that I think about it, might just be Dear Evan Hansen, I think it'll be wildly successful. That might be for a few reasons. It might be because Dear Evan Hansen itself, you know, it wasn't really as dance heavy, get on your feet, jump around kind of things. Well, no, there are a lot of musicals that have come out recently. Matilda, I forgot about that one. Loved Matilda, and I honestly think it worked really, really well in the format that it was done. And so did Everybody's Talking About Jamie, which I watched a while ago. I think what makes Mean Girls the musical different from the Dear Evan Hansen movie is that its lead was not as controversial as the Dear Evan Hansen one, which was the main thing everybody was talking about. Because I personally didn't have a problem with the Dear Evan Hansen movie. But I think what's different about the Mean Girls movie and why it'll probably be more successful than the Dear Evan Hansen movie and more well received is that, first of all, they know their audience. And I don't think it has this big agenda. And Mean Girls itself is already such a big phenomenon that people are coming just because of that, not because it's a Broadway musical. You know, with Dear Evan Hansen, it was just a Broadway musical that people loved and wanted to see. So that was their main audience, people who were specifically coming from a Broadway background, most likely. And the fact that, like, you know, Renee Rapp is pretty much their headliner. Like, she's a big name right now, and I think she's only gonna get bigger. Yeah, that's pretty much all the thoughts I have. Let me know your thoughts down below. I hope people watch this video. Honestly, 2024, like, is the year that, first of all, thank you for watching this video. If you watched it, if you stuck with me. I think my main thing for 2024 is just making content that I like, that I'm proud of, and not worrying so much about the external validation that comes with posting things. I'm honestly entering my Mean Girls era of just being who I am and being unapologetic about it. Yeah, so that's pretty much all my thoughts. I'm so excited to see the movie, and of course, I will try to immediately make some kind of content whenever the movie comes out. But yeah. Bro, take a shot every time I say but yeah. If you're an OG stan like me, let me know that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.